Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Lead Skill Show, where we feature prominent leaders from the accounting and financial services industry and talk to them about what their role is, their company's goals, their entrepreneurial journey, etc. Today, we have with us Kristie Ondracek from TXCPA Houston. She is the CFO and COO for the organization. Welcome, Kristie.
Thank you for having me, Oscar. I'm excited to be here today.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to have you too. So let's dive right in. The first question I'm asking is, can you tell us a little bit more about TXCPA Houston and your role in it?
Of course, I love talking about TXCPA Houston. We're a membership organization for CPAs in the Houston area, but it's not just CPAs, it's those in the accounting and financial world. Whether you are a student all the way up to retirees, we want you to come hang out with our community. We are a community of experts in so many different areas, including tax, SEC, financial planning, investments, forensics, valuations. Because accounting is so diverse, we hit all the markets. My role as CFO, COO is, I like to say that I am the business development individual, but I'm also the person who gets to report to a board of directors that are CPAs. So that's always fun. But my main thing is bringing people together. I feel very passionate of building relationships, whether it's member to member, member to sponsor, or even member to someone outside our CPA community right now, trying to bring everyone in. But I love building relationships because we need those relationships on a professional journey to grow, to help us when we need referrals, to help us when we need knowledge, and just support us through our journey.
I love that. And that's one of the things that I noticed when I went to your membership site. While, you have CPA on the name, right? TXCPA, you guys accept attorneys, financial planners, wealth managers, etc. Like have this big umbrella of different certifications and designations you guys accept as members, right?
And that's because CPAs need that community to help their clients. Whether your client is when you're in public practice or you are working for an industry, you have stakeholders, you have clients, and you need to have a team of various individuals to reach out to. And we all come together, you have your tax attorneys and your tax CPAs. Well, of course, you guys need to come together. But what if you are an SEC attorney and you need some tax legislation for your company? You need to have some referrals. You need to have that community because the best thing is when you know someone, you already have built up some trust. I don't know if your listeners remember the yellow pages, but you would go through and basically it was the one with the biggest ad. You're like, well, they must have the most money, so they must be trusting, and so let's just go with them. In our day and age, you have social media to look at, reputation, but the biggest thing is when you reach out to someone, especially in my TXCPA Houston community, you say, hey, I need someone who can do IRS resolution. I'm going to say, great, I got a few people for you. And you know that I've already vetted them. You know that I'm not going to refer you to someone that I don't personally know.
I love that. And for the listeners out there, we didn't talk about this, right at the beginning, but Kristie not only is a CFO, COO, she's speaking from experience. She's a CPA. What other, you have like 2 or 3 designations, right? So you're a CPA and what else?
CGMA, which is Certified Global Management Accountant. I used to be in industry, and the CGMA is really about the management accounting side of things. And then recently I received my CAE, which is Certified Association Executive, because I'm in the association nonprofit world. So that designation just helped me understand the business and governance behind running an association nonprofit.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you for that. And so that's what I mean, right? You're not only speaking from experience as an executive, right, in the association world, but also because you actually are a CPA and you know how you guys work together. One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the podcast, right, and we talked about this before, is you guys have a big conference coming up, right, next month. So let's talk about that. Can you tell us a little bit about the conference and what makes it different from the events from past years?
Well, our conference is for the stars of the accounting world. So it is technically known as the Spring Technology and Accounting Resources Summit. Shorthand is STARS.
I love that.
Accountants really are the stars of the business. And for those who want to disagree with me, great. But At the end of the day, when you go to the bank for that loan, you need your accountants, you need your CPA, you need your tax people. But we're bringing in stars from, we actually have international stars this time. Not to say, we haven't in the past, but because he's a friend of mine, I know he's coming all the way from Australia to speak for us. But we have 3 tracks. And what is different about this conference is we have unified several of our conferences into 2 key events, one in the May, one in the fall. Same structure both, but it's 3 tracks, meaning 3 different sessions going on at the same time. But at this year's conference, we also am trying something really new. During lunch, we're not going to have a keynote. I think this is the first time. I've been here 7 years, first time in 7 years. We have not had a lunch keynote. Instead, our keynote speakers is going to be the attendees, learning from one another. They really are the stars. They have the knowledge. Why not let them share it with each other? Whether that be what they learned during the morning sessions or what they just know off the top of their head. And there's not going to be like all these hard questions, but it's a way for them to network with one another, gain knowledge from one another, and build a community. So really excited about the keynote discussions during the lunchtime, but also just having various ways of those with like-minded backgrounds to come together. So on the first day, we have the tax track and we have the CFO controller track. So those are 2. And then each day has the future proofing track, where we are going to be helping you future proof your business, yourself. You never know what the future is going to bring. If you can forecast the future, awesome. I cannot. So I like to be prepared as much as possible. So this is really being proactive. So that's the first day. Second day, we have what we're calling the business and industry auditing and accounting track, which what I call this is your general accounting track. So it's those who are in business and industry. It's your accounting and auditing updates from the SEC side. It's learning more about what you need as a CPA. And then the energy track. For those, Houston is an energy sector town. We do have many businesses for energy. So this is going to be an energy specific track. And then the third track again is the future proofing your business, yourself.
Okay. It sounds like it's all encompassing, that you have something for everyone.
Exactly.
Okay. And so is it, I know that you said different tracks. Is it geared towards, let's call them beginners? Is it geared towards more experienced people? Like, who is the target here?
So the target audience, and this is going to be my opinion, is really your mid professionals. But there's something for everyone. And the biggest thing for everyone is to learn from one another. So we do have the CFO controllers. That's going to be your higher executive people. But what if you are being called to go down that route? Why not start connecting with current CFOs, controllers now? Start gaining that knowledge. What do you need to know to be a controller, to be a CFO? If you are a beginner in the tax area, come and get that knowledge. You may leave going, that was way over my head, because trust me, I've been there, done that. But it's amazing how little tidbits, even if it seems more advanced than where you are currently, you have just taken 10 steps forward than you would have if you had not attended at all. So I do say it's for all levels, even those of you who are, I am retired and I don't need CPE. Yes, but your brain is telling you you need to keep learning, keep growing, because you never know when you're going to be called back into the field, because you are experienced, we love our retirees because they do step up for volunteer gigs. So having that knowledge of what's going on in today's world is really important.
And I think, just from that last part that you said, I've also noticed that a lot of retirees are coming back as consultants, right? So also keeping, I think, updated with everything. I mean, they choose their own hours, they choose what they charge, right? And they're like there. So yeah, I agree. And also I think from the other standpoint, what you were saying a little bit earlier in terms of people that might be thinking, oh, I might go with a tax route, I might go the energy route, I might go different routes. People that are in the beginning of their careers. I think that not only are they coming out with, some knowledge, but I think that another advantage would be that, what you said, even if it goes over their head, they are right there with the person that talked about that, right? So they can actually go in and talk to them and network with them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because when I was in industry, I came to events such as this with TXCPA Houston, and I would be like, I have no clue what this speaker just said. But we would have some networking. So I would kind of like gauge the room of others who were just a little bit more advanced than me and introduce myself, get to know them, and be able to build that relationship of like, hey, could we have a coffee? Just because I have a unique situation. I was in the pipeline industry and I just want to know, how does this apply to what I'm doing? And so it helped build that friendship that really has helped me to this day. And it's an icebreaker. Who doesn't like to be seen as an expert? Like, hey, did you understand that? Oh yeah, I did. Great. Could you help me? Or if they didn't, they're like, oh my goodness, you didn't understand it either. Oh, thank goodness. I thought I was alone. It is the best icebreaker in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And it all sounds great. But if someone's never attended, this conference or a conference like this before, what's the one thing you'd say that like they can't miss?
I would say the one thing you can't miss is talking to others. Take the opportunity, dust off the business cards, or if you have a phone with a QR code or whatever fancy thing you have, do not miss the opportunity to talk to others, including the speakers. Sometimes I remember when I would go to conferences, like, oh, I don't want to talk to the speaker because they're, I don't know, I just put them on this pedestal. And now I'm like, no, go talk to the speaker. Because as a speaker myself, it is the biggest thrill for someone to come up afterwards and tell me what they learned or want to connect with me. That's the community. That's the community aspect of the conference. And where TXCPA Houston, we may not have the AICPA numbers of thousands. We have the close connections. These are people that you will hook up for lunch because you're all in the same city. You get to have commonalities of the Houston traffic, Houston weather, plus you're all in the accounting and financial area. So there's 3 common themes right there. So there's always something to talk about, but I think that's the biggest one. We also have Katie, who's the CFO of the Houston Rodeo and Livestock Show, coming to kick us off on day one. We have some economic updates because I think that's really on everyone's mind, along with tax updates, small to medium-sized business, future proofing. We are doing some workshops, which means like 50 minutes of education, 50 minutes of hands-on, using what you just learned and putting it into action. So there's going to be a lot of variety. It's not going to be just come in, watch a PowerPoint, leave. It is going to be come in, listen, and use that information and take it back and apply it wherever you work. Share it with your team members. Make them jealous so that they have FOMO. I mean, that's my biggest goal, that people are like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I missed it. Yeah, you missed out on a lot. I mean, these are the stars of accounting. We have selected individuals to speak that will really resonate with where you are today and help you get through whatever roadblocks you have and help you learn to navigate your professional journey.
I love that. And I remember seeing in YouTube and your website as well, some testimonials about the last one, right? Where they were talking about, don't miss this, it's so great, from different perspectives. I heard some great things about the last one. But I think, you're being a little bit modest though, because you're saying, well, we don't have the numbers, but you guys have like 7,000 members, right? You are the biggest chapter in Texas.
We do have 7,000 members. We are a great community for the Houston CPAs, accounting and financial professionals. Our conference is where the numbers I was thinking about was, we may not have thousands coming to our conference, but you're right. In the TXCPA Houston membership community, we have a vast amount of members in all aspects of life. I love getting to know the student members, the candidates. We have a study hall here at the office where I come in on certain Saturdays to help candidates, just encouraging them to keep going on the path of getting their CPA, because it's not easy. But I have told them that, you have to get the CPA because it is for the coolest people around. CPA, coolest people around. I need to get it trademarked. I have to get this trademarked. We have those who are starting out their career, mid-level professionals, those who are getting closer to retiring, who are thinking of selling their firm if they have one. And we have those connections to help them on every path. that they're going to go down.
Okay, that's very interesting. And in terms, you talked about the tracks. We talked about sort of like, it can be at the middle, of their career. But what kind of professionals usually attend? Is it only CPAs or also financial planners, wealth managers who can attend this conference?
So it's non-CPAs, CPAs, those in the accounting department, those in the finance department, those who have maybe they're a certified financial planner, not a CPA, those who are aspiring to be CPAs. It's leaderships and directors who are part of, just like I said, accounting, treasury, finance, CPA firms, public practice, getting their knowledge. Because while I understand there is a ton of continuing education out there, online education is not the same as in person, because in person means I could ask you, Oscar, what do you really mean by ... I don't know about you, but yes, we could have a webinar. It could be live and I could put it in chat, but you're going to see it 40 minutes later and we're not going to understand what's going on. In person, you can raise your hand. Someone's like, hey, what's this all about? Another speaker that's coming back this year he speaks about cybersecurity, and he's retired from the FBI. I think that is so important for our attendees, whether in industry or public practice, to understand cybersecurity and how to protect yourself and your clients. Those are the type of speakers we have. We have the cutting edge. We have AI speakers. We have ESG. So the topics are so diverse, but so united in need. These are things that we know you as an accounting and financial professional, you need to know so that you can continue being knowledgeable and being a subject matter expert in your own area.
I like that. It sounds like you guys have put a lot of thought, not only on the sessions and the speakers, but also the way how everything works, right? So it sounds like it's not one of those like traditional old school accounting conferences, right? It's more about keeping up with the times, a little bit more, like you said, future proofing.
And you don't have to be a member. I think that might be another misconception, that you have to be a member to come. No. We have non-member rates. We want you to come and experience and get the community that TXCPA Houston members have. A lot of times these conferences will bring everyone together, and then it's like, what do we do next? Well, next, if you're a member, you come to the next morning buzz, or you come to the next happy hour, you come to the next event, and you continue building those relationships. Because in today's day and age, we need these relationships to move forward. I think we found something during the pandemic that we need that human interaction. And so TXCPA Houston is truly here to help you on that journey of community, of bringing people together. Even if you guys, one is tax and one is financial reporting, you guys will find something to talk about.
Yeah, and I think that, for example, for one of the testimonials that I heard, he was talking about forensics, right? He was like, well, you know what? I didn't follow this path, but maybe if I heard this before, like forensics, something that I would have maybe incorporated, right, or followed. So I think that says a lot about, hey, even though I'm not in forensics or I'm not in valuation, I'm not in this, you're still taking away positive things and interesting things, right, that you can maybe incorporate into your business or your everyday work.
Well, and you can use those connections, because if you have a client come in and say, I think someone's stealing from me, you can be like, oh, great, I got someone who helps with this. I heard this awesome speaker, let me do it, intro with them. Or you're like, I can't remember who that was, Kristie. Can you help me? That's a nice thing about technology. I can go back and see who that was. But I always say it is never too late. Do you think when I was graduating college a few years back, 3 decades, that I would be thinking I would be in an association nonprofit world? No, you don't know what's going to happen. Forensics is still not out of my realm. I could go back and be a certified fraud accountant or certified fraud examiner, I think, CFE. There are so many acronyms out there. It is crazy, but it's never too late. So that when you go to these conferences, you're like, ooh, that sounds really cool. Go talk to the speaker. Go find out more about it. Is it something that you can do? So yeah.
I love that. All of that sounds very interesting. And so I mean, if people go to the conference, right, they're going to go and they're going to have talks, they're going to have panels from what you say, you're going to have workshops, they're going to be able to network, right, they're going to be able to talk to other people, kind of, learn some other stuff. But when it comes, there's people that I know are just going to be there for the CPE. So it's talking about CPE credits. How many CPE credits will people get if they attend the conference? For those that are only seeking that.
If you attend both days, May 13th and 14th, it's 20 hours. Now, if you're one of those lucky ones who needs ethics this year, or you just really love Deanna Sullivan and the way she presents ethics and need some more CPE, May 12th, the afternoon, we are having Deanna do ethics at the Sugarland Marriott. So that will be an additional 4 hours. So if you do the 2.5 days, that's 24 hours. And for our CPAs who really know this, you need 40 hours a year on average. So that's half. That's half. And then you come back in the fall, you get another 20 hours, and you are done with 2 conferences. Wham, bam, it's off your plate. Plus a huge community to support you.
That's great. And that's the main thing, right? I think that while people might think that they can get CP hours from different places, right? I think that the most important part is that the networking, right? Because you're going to be there with, in different sessions, especially, with the ethics one. There's going to be one right there with just people going for ethics. But I think the networking side of things, plus doing the CP hours, it's a no-brainer.
Well, and Oscar, this is something that CPAs in Texas, and I've never reported in other states, so maybe across all of them. But when you do 41-hour CPEs, at the end of the 2.5 hours of reporting all that, you are very frustrated. Imagine 2 lines, you're done, 15 minutes. Best thing ever.
That's so true. That's right. Because you're only doing it in those 2 events, right? As opposed to, I did 1 hour this week. I did 1 hour this other day.
Yeah.
I did half an hour. That is so true. I hadn't thought about it that way.
You are limited on time, energy, attention, and money. Make the most of it. I mean, this is, for members, $500, for non-members, $600.
Okay.
2 days, you are done for half of the year. And then you come back in the fall and you're done. I mean, my time, if I do an hourly fee, I can't beat it, because even if I only get the contact information, 5 individuals, just 5, it's $100 per individual. Their hourly rate are probably about $250, $300, because that's the caliber of people we have coming. I can't beat that. These are people that I'm like, hey, remember when we met in May of 2025? Yes. And you can continue the conversation. That's how referrals are done. That's how building a network. If you're a job seeker, that's how things are done. It's who you know. I mean, after the first couple of jobs, it comes down to who do you know to get you to your next professional journey.
Yeah. And you know what else? One thing, in my experience at least, has been that while we do have LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, right? I mean, Twitter, X. Well, we do have all of those things. Even if we try to manage them and only have people that we know, one thing that I've noticed is that you don't remember everyone. So when you actually go to a conference and you run into someone else that you haven't seen in a while, right then and there, you might have an opportunity for them and you hadn't thought of them, or the other way around. Like they might, oh, Oscar, because I've had that happen. Oscar, what are you doing right now? You know what? I thought about, I had this happen the other day. I was thinking of who I knew and I didn't remember, but now that you're here, right? Like now we can start talking about that. So I think it's also about, building relationships, having new opportunities, like you're saying.
Yes.
I think that's very important. And how will attendees, be able to connect and network at the event?
So there is going to be a attendee hub app that you can have on your phone, but there's also going to be certain breaks during the day. After every session, there's a break, either 10 or 20-minute break, plus the lunch session where you get to meet and mingle with like-minded people at these tables that will have, tax professionals, energy, type of professionals, so you can meet like-minded people. Or you could do the craziest thing for a CPA. Supposedly CPAs are introverts. I don't know about this, but good for you guys. You could go out on a limb and go outside. Let's say you're a tax professional and you're like, ooh, let me go talk to the CFO controller's table. Let's see what they're saying. So you can mingle with others. But it's really up to you as an attendee how much you want to mingle and how much you don't. But during the breaks, I always say your office knows you are away, or they should. If you need a funny out of office message, ChatGPT is really great at that. but take this time for you. Consider this as part of your self-care professional journey. Come with an open mind, lots of business cards, and the mindset that you are going to meet 5 new people each day. You're going to meet more than that, but have just that goal and be willing to trade stories. I think that there is intentional networking time, and then there's the organic networking time where you just talk to your person next to you and said, do you understand what they just said? Because that didn't make sense to me. And it's a yes or no type of thing. And then you start talking. I would highly recommend very soft talking and not totally taking over the presentation. But yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities for them to make connections.
I always have to take that into account. I need to use my inside voice. Not my outside voice when I'm in those kinds of talks. And so before we wrap up and we talk about, a little bit of the details, is there any particular or favorite, memory or moment that you have from any past conferences that you want to share with the audience?
I think it's just seeing the familiar faces. I do have the wonderful opportunity of attending all these conferences. So sometimes they know me better than I know them, but it is seeing the familiar faces and finding out how are you doing, where are you working, what's life like outside the, this conference world. And it's also getting to know the new faces and being able to welcome them, help them out. I think that is the biggest thing to me is the people. It is seeing them over and over. Some people are retiring, which is sad, but they're still coming because they're like, what? Like the consulting, I might need this information, and it's part of the habit. But yeah, it's the people, seeing familiar faces and meeting new people.
Love that. So when and where is the event happening? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so May 13th and 14th, 2025 at the Sugarland Marriott. Ethics is an add-on on May 12th, and that's at Sugarland Marriott also. So it's 2 fun, full days. And I know you're like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of education, but there's a lot of networking, a lot of opportunities. Take this time for your professional self-care just to expand your knowledge, expand your virtual Rolodex, and be able to come back with 20 hours so that you don't have to do 40 lines of CPE reporting.
Or 24, right? If they're missing the ethics.
Exactly.
And I know that we talked about it's better, when they're in person, but is there a virtual option?
There is a virtual option. So for those who are listening, not in the Houston area, but you still want in on all the knowledge, all 3 tracks will be virtual. So you will be able to zoom in, listen in, get to know, your people online. But yes, so there is a virtual option. So those who may be listening to this from Australia and being like, wait, you got someone from Australia? I got to tune in. They can do it.
And how do people sign up? Where do they go to sign up for the conference?
So we have shortened the long registration code down to bit.ly/2025 stars.
So bit.ly, so bit.ly okay. I will have that, for people listening, I will have that, depending on where you're seeing it, up top or below, so we can have that. And if you can actually put it in, I'll put it on the screen right now. And last thing, if someone's on the fence about attending or signing up, like what would you say to convince them to register?
Your return of investment of your time, energy, attention, and money is probably around 500 to 600%.
Wow, that's a good
because
ROI.
the people you are getting to listen to and build relationships, because the speakers stick around. I think the average hourly consulting rate is around $450. I mean, that is huge. And the referrals, if you are someone who is starting a business, you need referrals. Even if you are not starting a business, you need a community. So that's actually priceless. So yeah, make sure that you come, make the most of it. If you're on the fence, why not? Why not take a chance, meet some peers in the Houston area, gain a lot of knowledge that you can share with your team, share with, at your next meeting, team meeting, and be able to build a community to help you, because we all need help at some point. And this is a way, honestly, easy way of building that community.
That sounds great. And I think that you didn't mention it, but one other thing is, if anything else, right, you're getting out of your day-to-day routine. You're able to like go
That
out
might
and
scare some people. That might scare some people. So that's why. But yeah, you are getting away from the office. Self-care on your professional life is getting away from the office. It is shutting down the phone, shutting down the computer. And vacation, yes, does that. But we also need continuing education to keep our license. And I know several of you who take virtual CPE. They do the recordings. And I would love to quiz you at the end because you're also multitasking and doing something else. Now, I'm not saying you can't check your email during the conference. You're going to. It's ingrained in us at this point. But why not take a chance? Come to the conference, get away from the office. Here's the thing, bring your team. We do have a discount for those who are 6 and more. We'll give you a 10% discount. Bring your team, because what's best about that is then you split up the session so you get all the session information and you get to bring it back to the office and continue learning from one another and continue using that information and being able to apply it to your day-to-day business life.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like a great deal. And are there any last words, for listeners that you might want to say?
Just, I hope to see you either virtually or in person in May. So May 13th and 14th, block it off your calendar. Come join us in Sugar Land Marriott, and we're going to have a great time.
Awesome. I'm sure that you guys will. Well, Kristie, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you saying yes to being a guest in the podcast. And for those out there listening, this has been Kristie Ondracek, again, CFO/COO of TXCPA Houston. This has been another episode of the Lead Skill Show, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks so much.
Thank you.